You know, it really has to be strange times when y'all got me out here agreeing with Aubrey Drake Graham. So, for those that don't know, Drake was beefing with Kendrick Lamar, and obviously the song Not Like Us is huge, and in the song, Kendrick's accusing Drake of being a pedophile. Uh, Drake has had people who he saw as friends who are publicly posting themselves kind of vibing out to and enjoying the song, and he is taking issue with that. And I don't know these people's relationships, but it points to a larger issue that I've talked about before, which is some of the unwritten rules that exist within some male friendships. So one of them is this rule where men aren't supposed to have complaints or issues with other men. You're not supposed to bring it to that man's attention because that shows that you're weak, soft, or even gay. That is an underlying thing. And I think it's kind of rooted in this belief that as men, we shouldn't have to be working through or talking about issues. Complaints, offenses, and hurt is a female trait, and a lot of men think that they should only have to do that extra work in their romantic relationships with women. Friendships with other men shouldn't require all that extra work because that's emotional and so on and so forth. And that's kind of the underlying thing, and that has lots of issues there that I'll get to. But I do think when I look at this Drake situation, I know that people's response is essentially based off of that belief. Charlemagne on the Breakfast Club even said this.
Y'all said he shouldn't
ain't
be.
rap,
He shouldn't
this
be
is
online
tough
talking
R&B.
about it. He should put it in his music. And then when he puts it in his music, you're saying he's a sucker for putting it in his
No,
music.
we just saying don't sound gay about it when you're doing it. That's what we're simply trying
That's
to
his
say.
feelings. That's his feelings.
That's his feelings.
Now you got broad.
So the broader issue is we have to open our minds to the reality that any relationship with depth or some history will require some level of work. The work level will vary from person to person, but that's just something that exists in terms of being adults. It's very, I, don't, I almost said the word prehistoric, but it's very, I'll just say juvenile, because for a lot of us, the mentality is if another man has an issue with me, either we're going to fight or we just not going to talk. That's kind of the thing. Either we're going to fight about it or we're not going to talk. But there is no middle ground of actually working through issues because, again, it's so closely tied to this idea of being gay, and that's a problem. The reality is we all need the skill set to work through conflict, to be empathetic, and to understand people. And in Drake's situation, I mean, yeah, I get feeling a way about that. Now, he already has a reputation for a lot of different things, which I think people are finding it easy to oppose him for a variety of other factors, which I understand. But specifically as it relates to this, if somebody has an issue with something their friend did, if a man is offended by something his friend did, that's something that can be worked through or discussed. And I would argue it's not even really friendship if that person isn't willing to work through it. And functionally, I would say a lot of men call people friends, but in reality, they aren't really friends. There's just this a relationship based on utility. But the minute we get to some real stuff or some deep stuff, you recognize it's not really friendship. So I do think, one, for the first time in my life, I'm siding with Drake that it's okay to be offended with something your friends did, and y'all should be able to work through that. But on a much larger scale, we've got to move away from this ignorant mentality that believes that having an issue, being offended, being hurt by something means that you're romantically interested in the other person. It means that you're gay. Or also this idea that friendships shouldn't require work. As we get older and our lives get more complex, they are going to require work if you want to maintain them. And some men desire this simplistic life where they only listen to and talk to their girl. That's fine if that's what you choose to do. But for those of us that have the mental and emotional capacity we should be willing to take the steps, and I think all of us can work toward having that capacity. Take the steps to work through issues beyond just your romantic relationship. And I say that specifically because I know and have seen time and time again the same men that are only willing to try to put in some effort with the woman they're dating are the same men that are also super lonely, and the same men that end up having very extreme self-harm thoughts when a relationship ends, because they put all their eggs in the basket of that one romantic relationship and they don't have anybody else. So here's some pushback on some things that you might have accepted as normal that aren't ultimately serving you.
We ain't going out like that. We ain't going out like that. Watch me going